The movie begins with the history of the city of Atlantis, which was on the brink of destruction by a powerful tsunami. The queen instructs her young daughter, Kidakakash, to flee to safety, but the giant crystal, known as the Heart of Atlantis, summons the queen to harness its power. As if compelled by an irresistible force, she levitates toward it. The crystal creates a protective barrier around the city's center, preventing it from being destroyed by the flood, causing the continent to sink beneath the ocean waves. In 1914, Milo Thatch is diligently preparing a presentation to be delivered at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington. His topic is the lost continent of Atlantis. Milo firmly believes in the Atlantis story and is determined to find it, convinced that the Atlanteans had a hidden power source that may still lie within the sunken city. He believes in the existence of a book known as the Shepherd's Journal, which has surfaced throughout history and is likely to contain a detailed map leading to the city. In pursuit of his dream, he tirelessly seeks funding. Despite his persistent efforts to secure financial support from various sources, he faces rejection as most deem the city of Atlantis to be nothing more than a myth. With a heavy heart, Milo returned home only to discover a woman inside his house. This woman introduced herself as Helga Sinclair and informed him that she represented her employer, who had a proposition for him. She took him to the estate of Preston Whitmore. Upon arrival, Milo learned that Whitmore was a close friend of his late grandfather. To Milo's surprise, Whitmore presented him with a gift addressed to him from his grandfather, and when Milo opened the package, he found the Shepherd's Journal. Shocked by this discovery, Whitmore proceeded to explain to Milo that they were embarking on a mission to find Atlantis, and everything was already in place, and all they needed was someone who could decipher the ancient language within the book, which was Milo. Without much hesitation, Milo agreed to join the expedition. As preparations for the expedition commenced, Milo soon realized that Helga held the role of second in command. The selected crew members for the mission were all individuals with distinct talents, and the specially designed submarine ship was meticulously prepared for this task. Whitmore then introduced Milo to the expedition's commanding officer, Commander Rourke. As Milo stepped aboard the ship, it was promptly launched into the depths of the ocean. As Milo met the expedition's crew, and a contingent of soldiers and sailors, he proceeded to conduct a briefing explaining the route to the entrance that would lead them to Atlantis. Upon reaching the bottom of the ocean, they were greeted by a sight of numerous sunken boats and colossal ships scattered throughout the area. Radio operator Mrs. Packard alerted them to an unidentified sound, prompting the crew to investigate its origin. Suddenly, they were attacked by a giant scorpion-like creature, which proved to be too formidable to defeat. It seized hold of the submarine, revealing itself as a mechanical leviathan. In response, they deployed smaller submarines to engage the creature, but it easily overpowered them, causing damage to a portion of their ship. Subsequently, the crew evacuated the damaged vessel and boarded the smaller submarines in an attempt to escape. The relentless pursuit by the creature led to a prolonged struggle, but eventually, they managed to elude it. Upon surfacing from the water, they arrived at the gateway to Atlantis. Before entering, a solemn ceremony was held to honor the crew members lost during the submarine's journey. The remaining members of the expedition proceeded, with Milo in the lead, translating the directions found in the Shepherd's Journal. They embarked on a lengthy journey inside a vast cave, discovering extraordinary monuments and artifacts along the way. The expedition decided to take a well-deserved rest at their campsite. During this downtime, Milo mentioned that the Shepherd's Journal had a page that was partially cut off. In the conversation, Milo expressed his excitement about being on such an adventure and discovering the mysteries of Atlantis. However, the crew members clarified that their primary motivation for being on the expedition was financial gain. The crew opened up about themselves, and in turn, Milo learned more about them. He also shared the poignant story of his parents' passing and how his grandfather had raised him, teaching him to be like him. While everyone was asleep, an individual wearing a mask had been observing the expedition and began searching through Milo's belongings. They rifled through their possessions until Milo woke up to use the bathroom. The intruders fled upon seeing him. As he was unbuckling his belt, he shone a flashlight on what appeared to be a lamp. The light stirred a swarm of fireflies, and he tried to swat them away. However, as he touched them, they burst into flames. The fireflies attacked the camp, setting the campfire ablaze, and the crew desperately attempted to extinguish the fire, but their efforts were in vain. They decided to flee, but the weight of their vehicles caused the bridge to collapse. They ended up plummeting to the bottom of the pit, and fortunately, only a few of the crew members survived the collapse. Upon examining their surroundings, Mole determined that they were in the depths of a dormant volcano, which could potentially erupt if disturbed by a powerful enough force. The crew was bewildered, discussing their way out, but suddenly realized that Milo was missing. Milo, on the other hand, had regained consciousness to find himself surrounded by unfamiliar figures. He was badly injured and feared for his life, but one of these figures removed their mask, revealing a beautiful woman. She possessed a crystal hanging around her neck, which she used to miraculously heal a cut on Milo's shoulder. Their interaction was interrupted when the crew approached their direction. The woman and the unknown people quickly fled, and Milo followed suit, with the expedition catching up. In the process, they found themselves gazing upon Atlantis, a city alive and thriving once more. The crew was utterly amazed by the beauty of this place, but their amazement was soon replaced by astonishment when they found themselves surrounded by the woman and her people. She spoke to them in the ancient Atlantean language. Milo managed to communicate with them, and it became apparent that the Atlanteans could understand any language. The crew easily conversed with the Atlanteans, and the woman, revealed to be Princess Kidakakash, warmly welcomed them to Atlantis. She took them to meet her father, the king. Upon their arrival in the city, Kidakakash brought them before her father, King Kashyyykim, who was blind. However, King did not accept them, as their laws strictly forbade outsiders. He ordered them to leave, as they were not welcome. Captain Rourke attempted to explain that they had come in peace, but the king suspected they were there to steal from Atlantis. After some persuasion, Rourke managed to convince the king to allow the crew to stay for one night to rest and resupply. After the crew departed, Kida and her father continued to argue. Kida believed that the outsiders could help rediscover their dying culture, while Kashyyykim insisted that their way of life needed to be preserved. Outside the palace, the crew gathered to plan their next steps. They were still eager to find the power sources of the Atlanteans. They decided that Milo should try to gather information from Kida. Milo attempted to follow Kida as she left the palace, but she quickly caught him and explained that she had some questions for him. She led him to a secluded location. Milo had no trouble engaging in conversation with Kida. He asked her how they ended up at the bottom of the ocean, and she explained that they believed the gods had become jealous of them, causing a great flood that destroyed the city. She was very young at the time and only remembered people running and a bright light that took her mother into the sky. Milo was shocked to learn that Kida was much older, around 10,000 years old. In his confusion, Kida asked Milo how they had found their way down to Atlantis. Milo showed her an ancient book that had guided them. She asked him if he understood the writing in the book, and he realized that no one in Atlantis could read the written Atlantean language. Kida then took him to a chamber containing a flying vehicle. She explained that she had tried everything to make it work, but it had not responded. Milo read from the text in the vehicle, placed the crystal inside, and the vehicle started levitating. Milo struggled to control it, and it eventually crashed. Kida then showed him the city, along with its way of life, culture, and their connection to the crystals. At night, she wanted to show him something, so Kida took Milo to the pond, and they dived into its deep waters beneath a monumental building, concealing a vast amount of written information. With the illumination provided by Kida's crystal, Milo was able to read the inscriptions. He made a significant discovery: the power source he had been searching for was the same crystal that had taken Kida's mother. This crystal was the reason Atlantis could thrive and maintain its youthful state, preventing aging for the city's inhabitants. However, despite their efforts, they couldn't determine the exact location of this power source. The crucial information regarding its whereabouts was missing from the book. As Milo emerged from the water, he was shocked to find the entire crew surrounding him. When Kida emerged from the water, the crew apprehended her. Rourke then revealed that he possessed the missing page of the book and attempted to persuade Milo to join them in stealing the power source of Atlantis to become wealthy. However, Milo firmly declined, refusing to betray the Atlanteans. In response, the crew launched an attack on the palace in search of the power source, but their efforts proved fruitless. They start beating the elderly king, demanding to know its whereabouts. Just as they were about to kill the king, Captain Rourke suddenly understood that the power source was hidden beneath the riddle in the middle of the room. This riddle led to a chamber, and they forced Milo and Kida to accompany them as they descended into it. Inside, they found glowing light emitting from levitated stones in the air. Milo tried to understand it from the book. Suddenly, the light called out to Kida, drawing her towards it and causing her to levitate into the air. The light enveloped her body, infusing her with the crystal's power, making her shine like a radiant crystal. As she descended back to the ground, they placed her in a container, preparing to transport her while she remained unconscious. Milo pleaded with Rourke, explaining that the crystal held the life force of many innocent lives, and using it would result in their deaths. Rourke responded by biting him. The rest of the crew watched this exchange, hesitating in their decision. Ultimately, the crew decided to side with Milo. Meanwhile, Rourke, Helga, and the soldiers made their way, taking Kida with them. After crossing the bridge, Rourke destroyed it, preventing Milo and the others from following. With the heart of Atlantis no longer in the city to power it, Atlantis and its citizens were now in grave danger. Milo met with the dying king, who revealed that he had once attempted to weaponize the heart, but its power proved too difficult to control. This had led to a prior explosion that caused a great flood, resulting in the destruction of Atlantis and the loss of countless lives worldwide. The king explained that the heart would select a royal host when the city was in danger, and the relevant never came back. He emphasized that Kita would be lost to the heart forever if they couldn't separate her from it in time, and he entrusted Milo with the responsibility of becoming the new king to save Atlantis and Kita. With that, the king passed away. Milo suddenly realized that the crystals they possessed still had enough power to activate the flying vehicles. With determination, Milo and his friends rallied the Atlanteans to reactivate their flying machines and pursue the mercenaries to stop them. They catch up in the dormant lava and mercenaries were about to leave an airship. Milo and the people launched an attack, leading to a massive battle between the Atlanteans and Rourke's soldiers. In the chaos, Rourke and Helga attempted to escape with the heart of Atlantis. However, Rourke's true selfish nature became evident as he betrayed Helga and callously threw her to her death. Milo managed to get inside the airship and confronted Rourke, but Rourke proved to be too strong for Milo to defeat in direct combat. Just as Rourke was about to throw Milo from the airship, Helga, from the ground below, took one final heroic action. She managed to shoot and damage the airship's controls before losing her own life. As the airship spiraled out of control, Rourke went after Milo with an axe, intending to kill him. During this altercation, Milo seized a shard of broken glass from the container. Just as Rourke was about to strike Milo, Milo defended himself by cutting Rourke's hand with the broken glass. The power of the crystal poisoned Rourke's blood, transforming him into a crystalline entity, while the airship's turbulence shattered him as it plummeted to the ground during the crash. Remarkably, Milo managed to survive this harrowing ordeal. However, the airship's crash triggered a colossal explosion, disturbing a dormant volcano and igniting a catastrophic eruption. As molten lava surged behind them, Milo and the remaining crew members hastily retreated to Atlantis, with Kita safely secured within her protective container. Upon their arrival in the city, they were met with imminent destruction as the volcano threatened to obliterate Atlantis. Milo swiftly unsealed the container, allowing Kita and the heart of Atlantis to ascend, unleashing the magical power of the heart in a mesmerizing display. This energy of the heart awakened the colossal stone guardians of the city, who erected a formidable force field to shield Atlantis from the encroaching lava. With the city saved from impending doom. Once the danger was neutralized, the heart of Atlantis safely returned Kita to Milo, alive. Atlantis had been saved, and the city was once again secure. Milo, deeply in love with Kita, decided to remain in the city. In recognition of the heroism displayed by the expedition crew, they were rewarded with crystals and a substantial pile of gold to take back with them to the surface. Milo ascended to legendary kingship, marrying Queen Kita, and once more presided over the newly restored city, living a life spanning countless years.